Oh, guys, Emmett Rodriguez. Now, I just hope when these things are done, I do hope when these things are done, and maybe falsely, but I hope that you guys then give me my credit. I hope when these things are done, you get a real good look at what happened, and you come back and go, man, that's what Chael told us. Now, there was an injustice done to Yair Rodriguez in his last fight. Yair Rodriguez in the very first round, in what we believe is a #1 contenders match, against the former title challenger, Brian Ortega, Yair goes to his back to what we know as the guard position. He began to attack a limb. Whether it was the elbow, whether it was up here the joint or the shoulder, but he began to attack a limb of Brian Ortega. The moment that exchange was done, very relevant to understand that, the moment, simultaneous, not later, not a second later, the moment that Brian Ortega freed the limb that was under attack, the limb was damaged, he couldn't continue. That's a victory by submission. Now, that was a 16-1 spread for anybody out there that happened to bet that, by the way. But they didn't pay up on it. They didn't pay up because they can't. They have to go by what the commission says, and the commission did not rule at that. Now, I can live with that. If you got the 16-1, I can live with that too. It's very important, though, that we do set that record straight, because now you have Brian, I apologize, you now have Yair Rodriguez, who has showed and demonstrated a skill set that we didn't know he had. We did not know he was good enough on the ground to submit, injure, and finish in the very first round Brian Ortega. We just didn't know that. I watched it. I came and told you guys this is what happened. So we get in this fight tonight. This is a great fight. I mean, these two guys really are fun. Rodriguez is a video game. I've only been able to say that about 2 other fighters ever, Demetrius Johnson and Jon Jones. They're just so creative. And I got to put Yair Rodriguez in there. He's really special. Now, Emmett, a little bit more blue collar. He's going to be on you. He's going to outwork you. He's going to hit you hard. He ain't never going to go away. We get it. It's straight up. But through all of the analysis and all of the breakdowns and all of the odds and all of the prop bets on this fight, nobody was picking Rodriguez to win by submission. And nobody thought he was going to win it from his back. And nobody thought it would be a basic triangle, and nobody thought it would be that early in the fight, except for one guy. One guy has been bringing this to you since they left Long Island 6 months ago. Me. Telling you how good this guard is. Talking to you about some of the rubber guard, influenced technique, heavy inflexibility, disguising him, disguising their elbows at times. It's now 2 in a row, and everybody's got Mr. Surprise Face on. Everybody but me. Now, I tried to share this with you guys as we were talking about Islam versus Volkanovski, which I just tried to remind you that historically speaking, who is a #1 ranked guy in the world that had deficits in any position, because the belief on this is that Islam's going to take him down at will and keep him there. Possibly pass his guard, possibly finish him, either by pounding him or subbing him. This was a really common belief. But for Islam to be able to do that to Volk, who nobody's ever done that to, Volk would have to have a massive weakness in that area, even if it was the area of strength to his opponent. Tell me a #1 guy over history that anywhere within that cage was lost. Didn't know what he was doing. Couldn't protect himself at all times. The most basic rule. Told you this is silly. I hear about a size advantage. I can't recall a time that size has been an advantage. I know it's a disadvantage. I know where it started from. Some of your fathers had to suffer the same embarrassment that many other fathers had to, which is around the water cooler the next day, they had to explain why their son got his ass kicked at recess. And it was never once because that guy was a better fighter. It was never once, hey, he was ready, my guy was ready, they got to it first. Never once. It was always little Timmy wasn't big enough. Always. always the guy was older and or the guy was bigger. Every father in history whose son got beat up, none of them it was a fair fight. None of them started it. None of them asked for it. And they were all undersized. And I'll just share with you, that's not what we see in fighting. No. The history of this and the history of champ status greatly favors the smaller guy coming up. I just think that we do need to learn these things. Because you will have people that are experts with this sport. They're going to look at Khabib, and then they're going to look at Islam. And they're going to come on. They're going to tell you how great they are at takedowns. These are Jordan Burroughs-esque takedowns, and that's a nice thing to say. Believe me, I get how you come to that deduction. You go watch 5 rounds of their fights. They're going to have 5 takedowns, right? I do understand how you come to that conclusion. Make sure you understand that they get them the same way, which is they push the guy against the fence first. Not out in the open. You saw Islam try to make that mistake tonight, right? Islam did what we call a head to the outside single. Some guys will call it a high crotch. It's a head to the outside single. If you have one leg in MMA, you have nothing. I will start a fight no matter how good you are, and you can have my leg. Now, if you grab my leg, I now got both of your hands, don't I? Go right ahead. Go right, keep that leg all day. I just share with you, you don't have anything, and you saw Islam do it. Islam, who's a great wrestler versus a guy who's never had a wrestling match. And you saw the guy that didn't have the wrestling match come out of that scramble. Not a lack of wrestling. It's not a lack of fatigue. You can't have one leg in this sport. You got 2 legs, you got the body, or you have nothing. So if we are going to learn from tonight, if we are going to acknowledge how good Yair Rodriguez's back, good for us. We've done our job. But if you are also going to acknowledge that if you want to stay on top or on your feet with some of these guys from Dagestan, it's not just about the wrestling. It's about the specific position. Volkanovski didn't come in tonight knowing anything that you guys didn't know. He just kept his back off the fence, just like Chael said he needed to do.